Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we are here with another F1 challenge of sorts. Now recently we've been taking Formula 1 cars across the globe. We went to the Mexico Formula E circuit a few weeks back. We went to the classic Sao Paulo. They were both really good fun videos. Now obviously Formula 1 this weekend is back in Las Vegas. Yes, for my fellow Europeans, sadly that does mean we're going to have to be getting up very early on Sunday morning. But, of course, as a lot of people know, this isn't the first F1 circuit that has been hosted in Las Vegas as well, of course. Obviously, the 2023 race, despite some manhole covers deciding they didn't want to stay on the ground, most of the weekend went pretty smoothly. The same could not be said for the last venue in Vegas that hosted our Formula 1 Grand Prix. Yesterday, we have come to the infamous Caesars Palace, the host of just two Formula 1 Grand Prix ever in, I believe, 1981 and 1982. And I think as this video goes on, you're going to understand why this place wasn't very successful in the sport. Of course, if you're new around here, please do make sure you get yourself subscribed. I spent £2 on this mod to race this circuit for today's video. If that isn't enough to get you subbed, I don't know what is. But yeah, let's head out onto the circuit. Well, of course, if you've watched those other videos that we've done recently, you'll know that obviously the Mexico Formula E circuit was probably a little bit too narrow to host a Formula 1 race, and the Sao Paulo circuit kind of folded in on itself a lot. They managed to put a lot of racetrack in what was effectively quite a small area. Caesars Palace kind of combines both of them, and when I say combines both of them, takes the worst aspects of both of these venues. Now, like I said, of course, there you go, the curbs immediately, that should give you a good idea what they're like. They're a bit more like Sao Paulo. But of course, yeah, we like to do a bit of a history lesson whenever we come to any of these circuits. Like I mentioned, obviously this circuit hosted two Grand Prix back in the early 1980s. It did actually see a championship decider, I believe, in 1981, which I believe saw Nelson Piquet claim his first Formula 1 crown. But of course, obviously, for those of us in Europe, Formula 1 is kind of our pinnacle of, open wheel racing. America, they always like to do things differently. It's the only country in the world that likes watching cars go around in circles, and rather than enjoying Formula 1, they like IndyCar. Formula 1, back in the 80s, they saw an opportunity to try and kind of stamp IndyCar out and really take over the American continent, if you will, and they thought this place would be a good idea. A race in Vegas, except for it wasn't even called the Las Vegas Grand Prix. It was called the Caesars Palace Grand Prix, which obviously some of you might have heard of, obviously, on the Strip. And why was it called the Caesars Palace Grand Prix? Because it was hosted in the Caesars Palace car park. Yes, it's completely flat. They were kind of given a blank canvas with it in this area, and still somehow this venue is absolutely rubbish. Now, it's got a couple of fun corners for a modern Formula 1 car. The second half of the lap isn't too bad, but it just goes backwards and forwards over and over. You basically have straight, slight left-hand kink, right-hand hairpin, over and over and over. And that's just what this venue was. To the surprise of very few, obviously it was dropped incredibly quickly from the calendar. It was far too warm as well for the drivers when they were racing here. Of course, Formula 1 didn't race at night back in the 1980s. That, I think, would have been a disaster. So they had to deal with the warm desert sun, and I believe it was hosted slightly earlier in the year, so rather than being the end of November, it was hosted in like early October, which for those of you that don't know, apparently is still quite warm in the day here in Las Vegas at that time of year. So it was like I said, it was an odd time in Formula 1 where they were trying, obviously, they were basically throwing up Grand Prix in every American town they could. And just none of them were working, with probably the exception of Long Beach. So, yeah, this I think, though, is kind of the one that is remembered in infamy for probably being the worst of the Las Vegas Grand Prix. And although I think Formula 1 kind of were happy to remember its history in the sport last year, yeah, I certainly don't think they really want to remind too many people of this venue. Now, obviously, for the Formula 1 fans, it was a little bit odd. You know, you think, well, you've got the whole city right there, why didn't you build a track there? Obviously, but for Americans, they just had no idea what was going on. Effectively, a random series came to the US, came to Vegas, was hosting a Grand Prix in a car park, and no one really knew what it was or what it was about or anything. It was just so poorly planned out that it kind of, you know, modern fails that we've seen in Formula 1 in recent times are pretty bad. This place absolutely takes the cake with it. Can I take a shortcut? Just because I found that now. Yes, I can. Okay. I was not expecting that to work. Lap times here, I would say, are going to be low 1 minutes. I reckon if we absolutely nailed it, maybe we could try and get like a very low 1 minute lap time around this venue. But I mean, obviously, yeah, especially in these modern cars, where obviously these things are so big, it would not work very well whatsoever. I mean, it didn't work then. It's hardly going to work now. At the end of the day as well there, but I'm gonna try and go for one flying lap before we head into a race. But I just cannot kind of, it's almost like if someone told you this is what happened and there was no record of it, you wouldn't believe them. The fact that this Grand Prix ever happened, and not only did it happen, it happened twice. They hosted one and thought that wasn't so horrendously bad. They were like, right, we'll host another one next year. We've got it on contract. We may as well go for it. Just absolutely hilarious. Formula 1 back in the 80s was absolutely wild. It kind of took until the end of the decade. It kind of feels that F1 finally started to mature to a certain degree as well there. But, I mean, to be fair, actually as like a single car time trialing, it's not the worst place I've ever driven. I'd argue it's better than the Mexico Formula E circuit we went to in that video a few weeks ago. At least this one is kind of wide enough that we can make it through most of the awkward hairpins at some kind of speed. I mean, this corner is actually really good fun. Pretty much flat out, I think, if I nailed the line. And then again, this hairpin just catches me out. Just folds in way, way more than I'm expecting it to. I'm not going to sit here and claim that it's going to host a good race in a couple of minutes. Obviously, we'll wait and find out as to just how well that works. But it's weirdly fun to drive by yourself. I don't know why. I can't quite describe it. I'm going to try and go for... I'm going to try and get a sub 1 minute 10. If I don't hit that wall... Oh, sorry, run wide even. I reckon we should be able to do that. I mean, getting right to the barriers is very, very good fun. No way would they allow cars to race here now with these huge curves and the kind of barriers that jutting out everywhere. Of course, for the uninformed as well, you'll notice that it seems like Datsun was one of the only sponsors of this Grand Prix. If you don't know what Datsun is, you're probably quite good, actually. It was basically Nissan's non-luxurious lineup throughout the 80s and 90s, and everything that came out of it was pretty terrible by all accounts. So, goes to show you just how good a racer, a race was when that was all they could drum up for sponsorship. Now, again, looking at the positives, if you're in the grandstands, you've pretty much got a perfect view of the track from anywhere. So I can kind of understand that's what they were trying to go with as well with it. I mean, you can get some decent speed. I mean, we're doing close to 300 clicks down in towards the final corner. But, yeah, it just did not work. Because there we go, 109.5. I also keep accidentally clipping the speed, the pit lane there. And that keeps slowing down the car as well. But let's go into a race and just see how plenty of cars handle this venue. But as always, I'll make sure to leave the mod creators link down in the description of if, for whatever reason you want to give this a go. We're 6 red lights then here in Vegas, and it's going to be lights out and away we go for the first Caesars Palace Grand Prix in over 40 years. Trying not to get done clipping the pit lane entry line there as we make our way down in towards turn 1. I mean, to be fair, the AI able to hang on 2 or 3 wide there through the first couple of corners. You've got to be really, really careful. That's about the only elevation change you get on this lap, is that one small bump there through the exit on turn 2. But to be fair, yeah, there's plenty of room for the cars to kind of go 2-3 wide in various places. You have got to be careful of the curbs, though. Again, they are just, I mean, 80s Formula 1 curbs, that was pretty standard, that they were just curbs you get on your high street and things like that. But through the next couple of corners there, again, we've got AI trying to have a look. This braking zone is actually quite fun, quite rewarding when you get it hooked up as well there, because, you know, you kind of just slow the car in and really try and tip it through there. So we'll try and go underneath a couple of drivers there. Spotted that one nice and far out there, and again through this hairpin. Just got to try and keep it between the white lines. I was not expecting that gentleman to brake. I'm sorry, Mr. Fake McLaren. I think we've caused a bit of a roadblock. Right, let's try this again. Then 6 red lights once more, and it's going to be lights out, and away we go. And this time, I'm going to try and be even more aggressive with the AI. Well, down in towards turn 1. Now, you can fit 22 cars, apparently, on this circuit, and honestly, that doesn't actually seem that wild. Obviously, we did 40 in the Mexico video a few weeks back. That was admittedly 20 Formula 1, 20 Formula E cars. That one probably was too much, so... I mean, this place, actually, when you think about it, probably could host a semi-decent Formula E race. Maybe they wouldn't all spend 90% of the race just waiting to charge up the battery. Would probably be the way to go as well there. But perhaps, yeah, Formula E, 2025, 2026. Maybe this is someone they need to look at on their calendar, as I've got no idea how we just got away with chopping off that guy's nose. Sometimes I forget that this isn't the F1 24 AI, and Assetto Corsas... I mean, I've upped the aggression, as you can tell.
I am not coming in behind you again, old man.
And they're just not willing to give an inch at the moment. I've only set it as a 5-lap race because ultimately I think we'll all get bored of Las Vegas in that time. What on earth have the AI got against me here? And why can't I get through that corner without one of them trying to make contact with us?
Watch your
One yells, I just come round a hairpin and there's just a car trying to turn around in front of me. What on earth is that? I mean, again, where it's a car park, at least I guess you've got some space to kind of just get around them if there is someone just trying to do crazy things against us there. But it hasn't taken us long before we've caught back up to your back markers here of this race. What I also don't know is obviously there's a lot of sand around most of the circuit. Was this, was sand put down for this weekend? Was most of the circuit covered in sand? Or was it just obviously the car park here at Caesar's Palace actually wasn't that big either? You can see there are sections of, that guy's gone to the Shadow Realm. I have no idea what I've done there, but I've put him to the Shadow Realm. That's quite impressive. I think we're going to see our first retirement then of the Caesar's Palace Grand Prix. That was yeah, the other thing. Like I said, it was never called the Las Vegas Grand Prix either, which made it even more confusing. It was only called the Caesar's Palace Grand Prix. Now, I believe they just couldn't get the naming rights to it. I believe IndyCar at the time might have had a Las Vegas Grand Prix already, so Formula 1 could not get the licensing to call it that. So they had to settle with the Caesar's Palace Grand Prix, which, of course, obviously, if you're not an experienced gambler, you're probably not going to know what that is. Obviously, as casinos go, Caesar's Palace, I believe, is quite famous. But still then, just everything about this race, you just think, what on earth were they trying to achieve with it? And, I mean, it completely missed the mark, didn't it? But hilariously so. And I mean, how does... Thanks. How does every single incident that I get involved in this race mean that I spin in the AI run unfazed? I mean, there's so many tyre marks down. I think if this race proves anything, it's that any of the venues I seem to have gone to in this series just do not work with modern Formula 1 cars as well. I mean, the huge curbs here are never going to be a particularly good place to start, are they? But that's kind of by the by. We've got 2 laps left to go, though, here from the Caesar's Palace Grand Prix. I don't even know how many laps this race was. I'm going to assume a lot, like 80, maybe? It's not a long lap whatsoever. I would guess it's not much longer than Monaco. So it could have been a slightly shorter race, but I mean, yeah, it's just such a small venue. It's, like I said, it's almost impressive that they managed to fit an entire Formula 1 circuit into it. But they certainly left a lot of creativity on the table. We give Herman Tilke some stick in recent years for the circuits he's come up with in Formula 1. He never created Caesar's Palace. Maybe that's a good point on his record. Perhaps that's how he gets so many gigs. to build Formula 1 circuit to go, I didn't build Caesar's Palace. That wasn't me. So, and then they go, yeah, I suppose he's kind of right there. We'll give it to him. As, I mean, the AI just is so conservative through some of these corners. So we try and have a look around the outside of a couple more there through the final couple of corners. We are really actually flying along now towards the end of this race. New fastest lap for ourselves there of a 1:11 flat. Let's just see if we can try and get into the 10s or the 9s there, as again, genuinely, the first few corners of this lap are quite good fun. It's just a shame that they're all repeated again, which kind of takes the fun out of it. If every corner at Spa was Eau Rouge, maybe people wouldn't enjoy it as much. I tell a lie, Eau Rouge is awesome. But, yeah, like I said, let me know if you've ever given this circuit a go in any game. I don't think it's ever just been standard content for any title. Maybe that's what coders should do in EA. Bring the Caesar's Palace Grand Prix so we get both of the Las Vegas races. And we can do one then the other, or something like that. But, yeah, tell me as well, obviously, where you'd like to see, you know, us take some various Formula 1 cars. Oh, no, in different machinery between now and the end of the year. I'm just going to get absolutely murdered by the AI again. So come on, get back on the road. Don't beach it on the curb, please. I'm going to get absolutely nothing to show for my result, which is going to be a little bit of a shame as well there, of course. Not long now before I go away, so I'm going to try and get a few more of these videos done before the end of the year there. But through the final corner of the return to Caesar's Palace, we got a yellow flag out, apparently. Can I break the mods? Probably not, but we're going to give it a whirl. That was quite impressive. We'll take that. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure and leave a like, get yourself subscribed. And yeah, we'll be back very soon with more random, silly, ridiculous challenges here on maybe Assetto Corsa.